Zen friends. My name is Kasey, and I am the Animal Care Manager and Certified Vet Tech here at Zen Habitats. And we have a very special episode of Kasey Talks Critters for you. This is going to be for the Bearded Dragon Bonanza. So Cam, my lovely guest, is so awesome. She is joining me today, and we're going to talk about bearded dragons. So make sure you stick around. Yay! Drop those comments below, and we're going to answer them as best we can. So to get started, also want to make sure that you're following both Zen Habitats and Cam on all of our social media platforms. So we're both on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You follow us on all of the platforms. We're available. So let's get started with this episode. To get started, we'll ask Cam, what is your experience working with animals?
So while I don't have any actual career experience, unfortunately, yet, besides an internship I did a while back, but my experience with reptiles and animals in general is relating to my pets. I've got 6, just one bearded dragon though, this little guy. I got him in 2019, so I guess almost 4 years. So that's basically my experience with them. It's just as pets. But I love it, and I hope one day I'll be able to work with reptiles in person and as a career.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you pretty much have, you are a reptile creator. So that, or content creator. So that's really, you do have a job working with reptiles. It's really fantastic. You provide such great care information to the general public via social media. And I think that is fantastic. You're very, you're energetic, and you're easy to follow along and watch, and I think that that's really great, and you're just helping spread the good word through social media about reptiles, and that's fantastic.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. So a little oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. He was escaping.
It happens. When you work with live animals, they get a little rambunctious sometimes, and they don't want to stay. Chi behind me is actually just laying in his dirt hole. He dug a little hole, and he's just hanging out in there right now. So I'm just
lucky him.
Back there, just living his best life.
I love that enclosure, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. So this is where our male bearded dragon Chi lives. It is a 4x2x4 Zen Habitat enclosure, and it is bioactive. So we did a nice desert substrate mix from Josh's Frogs. We added in our cleanup crew, our live plants. Granted, the snake plant is looking a little sad at the moment. That's because he keeps...
Mine is too.
Yeah. So snake plants are great for bearded dragons because they can be munched on, and they generally hold up well to that low humidity, high heat that our bearded dragons need. Yeah.
Looks gorgeous.
Oh, thank you so much. So I guess a little bit about me and my job with animals is I work here at Zen Habitats. I am the Animal Care Manager, so I take care of all the critters here. But my background is in veterinary technology. So I am a certified veterinary technician, which is the equivalent of a RN, but for animals. And so that's kind of how I started. And, but yeah, let's talk more specifically about bearded dragons. Why do you think they're so cool first?
My first, when I bought Smog, I was like, oh my God, he eats bugs. How cool. I don't know, something relating to that. I think they're super energetic, and in the various species of reptiles, some of them can be more we call them personable, they have a personality, more kind of enjoyable to be around. And bearded dragons are, in my opinion, one of those. Oh my goodness, sorry.
Guys, keep them up.
But yeah, they definitely have a personality. Each and every one of them have a different personality than maybe one bearded dragon is completely different than another bearded dragon. I just think they're super cool, fun to be around. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. And I do think they are one of the more personable reptiles that you can keep. We have 2 currently in the office, and they are totally different. And we've had more bearded dragons, and I've had bearded dragons myself, and they've all been totally different. So I can totally understand that and agree with that. And I do think that's really fun, because you can have a kind of spicy one, or you can have a really chill guy. So, for example, Chi is like the most chill bearded dragon ever. He loves to sit up on your shoulder and snuggle into your chin. He's very, very cuddly. Where my agave at home wants to eat my face off, like every so, you know,
my brother's is like that.
Yeah. And you know, and I think it's all, and there's many factors. It could be how if they were like bred from like a very hands-on approach, like were they handled a lot when they were small, or did they come from like a big chain pet store where they maybe weren't handled as much when they were babies, and in turn got a little spicy.
Got a little spice.
A little spice, you know? And that's the thing. We don't want to talk about like, or we don't want to say that a reptile is aggressive. They're just defensive. So if they are acting bitey or spicy, it's just, you know, they're just being defensive, and they're trying to protect themselves as best as they can.
Definitely. I definitely agree. Aggressive just doesn't feel like the right term in the slightest. They're just scared, or think that you're going to hurt them, or, you know, just being defensive for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. So, a little bit about bringing a bearded dragon home. So do you think they're tricky to establish? And have you found any tips that work well for you when you bring a new bearded dragon home?
So when I first bought my bearded dragon and brought him home, I was not experienced in the slightest. To be honest, I had no idea what I was doing, and it was a very impulse decision, which I actively tell people not to do now. But bringing a bearded dragon home can be pretty tricky just because of all of the things that they need. Even as babies, like you may not provide them a bioactive enclosure right away, but their lighting is still tricky. The UVB, the heating, the different hides that you want, just the kind of enclosure that you want to create for them. It can be difficult and super overwhelming and expensive. So yeah, definitely bringing them home can be a task. But what I like to do when I bring them home, any reptiles, is to leave them alone for like 2 weeks. Just leave them alone. Just put some food in there, leave them alone, let them do their thing. Usually you'll get a less defensive reptile that way, because they're able to get used to their surroundings before getting used to you. And I feel like that's really important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that is super important, because again, being defensive, that's all about protecting themselves. They're just a little, especially baby beardies, you know, they're so small, and everything in the wild could potentially eat them. So they're terrified. And I do agree that getting them used to their surroundings, giving them that time to acclimate, is really important for them to feel comfortable in their environment before they can feel comfortable with you.
Definitely. For sure.
So, they are a very popular pet. Do you think they're going to be even more popular in the future?
I honestly don't think that bearded dragons could get any more popular than they are right now, due to like social media existing and everybody having a bearded dragon, and you know, somebody sees one and makes an impulse decision like, I want one of those. They're extremely popular for that reason. And I would be shocked if they had even the possibility of getting more popular than they are now, honestly. What do you think?
I agree with that. I think they are definitely the like the gateway to reptile keeping. I didn't want to use the D word, but you know, like the gateway into keeping reptiles. Everyone thinks that they're maybe going to be the easiest reptile to keep because they're the most popular. But really, I don't necessarily think they're the easiest reptile to care for. I don't really like to use the term easy either, because
yeah, me neither.
You know? But I do think that that's why they're so popular, is like people see them, there's just so many of them that they're like, oh, it's got to be easy, and then it just happens. So my first reptile as an adult was a bearded dragon. I mean, like I had turtles and frogs as a little kid, but when I was a full-fledged adult in my own apartment, my first reptile was a bearded dragon. So I am just, you know, I'm exactly like that too. So, and it was my gateway into the rest of the reptile.
I totally agree. Mine was my bearded dragon was my first too, and I was still living at home with my parents, so that was like the only pet that I could get and care for like independently from like being a family pet and having that responsibility be on everybody else. Yeah, definitely agree with the gateway thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I just saw a comment pop up of parents need to stop buying bearded dragons for their kids. I totally get that, and I totally agree that no matter what, when a parent buys a pet for a child, the parent is going to be ultimately responsible for that animal. So I do think that it's, you know, parents like to do it to say, oh, we're going to show them responsibility, they need to take care of a pet. But really, it is ultimately your responsibility to take care of that animal. So that is a very good point, Kiki. I'm glad you brought that up. Oh, and then also, can we please show us the bearded dragon? I'm sorry, he's choosing on the side of me right now. So he's kind of side-eyeing us right now. He's right back there. My big head's in the way. But yeah. So in that, who do you think is who is the ideal keeper for keeping bearded dragons? What would you like that keeper to look like? Or not look like, but to be.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I definitely think that a person that does their research beforehand, before buying a bearded dragon and knowing what they need, knowing what kind of enclosure they need, lighting, care, all of it. Because I was one of the people that didn't, and I struggled really hard, and I don't think that smog definitely ended up terrible because of it, but I fixed my mistakes very quickly. And I think just the best reptile keeper, bearded dragon keeper, can just do that right away. Just spend 2-3 months, you know, preparing, having the tank beforehand, not buying one of those kits from the pet stores, you know, having everything prepared. And I promise you'll feel about 10 times better about it whenever you bring your bearded dragon home, because everything will already be ready and you won't be scrambling to find all of the things that they need. Yeah, the perfect keeper will be prepared.
Absolutely. And I think a really great point that Kiki just also brought up was, where do we point people in the right direction to get proper care? So, you know, not to toot our own horn, but we have a lot of great care resources right on our website at zenhabitats.com, including our ultimate bearded dragon care guide, which is phenomenally written. I think it's 90 something pages long, and it's got so much information compiled by one of our expert researchers. So that's one place to get it.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. I believe are your care guides written by the creator of Reptiles?
Yep, Mariah Healy from Reptiles. Yep, absolutely. Right. So
so I was going to say Reptiles for sure, but yeah, you guys also have her care guides on the website, which is super convenient. So definitely.
So I'm a little biased when I say I liked Reptiles for care information.
I do too. It's immediately where I go. If I have a question that I'm not 100% sure about, Reptiles has the most complete and correct care guides that there are, saying as even I've written a care guide of my own, but she keeps hers updated. If something is not correct anymore and it used to be, it'll be fixed. And that's so important. And I absolutely love her care guides.
Me too. So many good ones for sure. So on the topic, since we are a Zen Habitats show, do you think Zen Habitats has a good enclosure for bearded dragons?
I do. I don't have that one. I think that size enclosure is amazing if you have the ability to have such a massive enclosure. Amazing. I have one of the 4x2x2s right here. I really like it. I've had Zen Habitats since he was 5 months old. absolutely no complaints for bearded dragons for sure. They hold heat really well. They hold the humidity in really well. They don't need a lot of humidity, but the humidity that's in there stays in there. Of course, it fluctuates like it's supposed to. But yeah, I think they're really great. I think the size is perfect. I think you're able to do a lot of like really creative things with the enclosures as well. And they're super like pretty looking.
Aren't they? I love it. It's so aesthetically pleasing and like it's like furniture. Like your reptile room is beautiful, by the way, and I know you have that kind of like out in your living space. So like you know, I for me it's important that my reptile room looks nice too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So I think now is a great point to start asking some questions from our fans, and we can kind of go over some stuff. So we asked throughout the week, so I can get started on a couple of questions that we had already received. So one that I really liked was, is it normal for my beardie to want to spend most of its time in her hide? So I was hoping that you would answer this one for me.
I can. So if your bearded dragon has always been kind of on the lazier side since you got him, or since like for its entire life, if it's been on the lazier side, I wouldn't be like super worried about it. But generally speaking, if they're in their hide, that is a sign that they don't have enough coverage in their enclosure, enough places to hide, enough places to feel secure in general. So I would just add some more things for them to maybe like climb under, hide in, some plants if you're doing a bioactive, or you can even put a plant in there if you're not. Just making them feel more safe and secure. That's the reason that they're in their hide, is because they want to feel safe. Give them more opportunities to feel safe. But also, if your bearded dragon is normally on the more active side and is suddenly hiding a lot, I would look at the kind of symptoms that you're seeing. It could either be like a sign of brumation, or it could be a sign of sickness. So just definitely know your bearded dragon, keep track of their behavior, and if it's something that you're concerned about, a vet is something to consider.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. Something that I have also seen is if they are trying to hide themselves from too much heat, like when the summer it gets really, really hot in their enclosure. I have witnessed my own bearded dragon like really trying to get away from her heat lamps. Like they're not like scalding hot, it's just that the ambient temperature is so much warmer, so then it's a little bit warmer and she's like, no, I hate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, we have some great questions popping up. So my bearded dragon goes a little dark, but not fully when basking. Is this common? And yeah, it is. So actually, reptiles are so cool. They have what's called chromatophores within their skin, and that is what helps them change colors. And so when they are feeling a little chilly, they can actually increase their pigmentation so that they can absorb more heat from the light. So that was a really great question. I like that one.
Yes.
Awesome.
Something I like to compare that to is like when you're out on a hot summer day and you picked the wrong t-shirt. You're wearing black and now you're 100 times hotter. Like that's what I like to compare it to, because the dark colors attract the sun more than the light colors.
Oh, Kylie, are you asking if the cool side is technically the bottom of the tank? Pretty much, yeah. So basically this whole area under here is like a cool den, and then it gets warm here, and then it gets even warmer up at the top with the other basking bulbs. Yeah, very cool. So your heat gradient doesn't have to go left to right. It can go top to bottom. This one kind of goes diagonally, top to bottom, left to right. All right, so let's see. Oh, maybe you can answer this one too, Cam. How do you lower your humidity in your bearded dragon's enclosure if it's too high?
So this isn't something that I've had the struggle with until recently. I've generally lived in states that are very low humidity, like freakishly low. So I've had a problem raising it. But lowering it. I know that dehumidifiers exist. I'm trying a few of my own. I intend on like doing like a review of, ones that actually have worked for me. But generally speaking, I would avoid misting the enclosure at all. And if you're really having trouble keeping that humidity down, I wouldn't have a water bowl in there. I would give them their water like outside of the enclosure if possible. Yeah.
I think yeah, no, absolutely. I have used those little dehumidifiers. They're on Amazon. They're about this big and they're reusable. All you basically do is you plug them in and it re-dries it, and then you're able to reuse the dehumidifier, which I think is really great.
Yeah.
We have another, oh my God, I'm like scrolling to the wrong thing. But I saw something about cheese enclosure, so I wanted to talk about that. Could you show and explain cheese setup and the light setup, maybe how things are connected to walls? Okay, so we can just do like a quick little overview. So what I've done is I've taken a spare PVC panel, and then I've taken shelf brackets from the hardware store, and I've just drilled them right into my enclosure, and that is how that has been supported. Other than that, we have a fence post that we have attached to the bottom of the floor, and then we put dirt over it. And then the lighting. So we have a halogen basking bulb right at the top. We have our UVB bulb, and then this one is a mercury vapor bulb. So we provide some UVB down here as well. If that makes sense. I think that was like the quickest way I could talk about it.
Super nice.
Thank you. I see this question about sand being bad for leopard geckos. I know we're focusing on bearded dragons, but we can talk a little bit about, I like to use sand soil mixture for all my arid critters. So that would be like our leopard geckos and bearded dragons, your mastics, etc. Have you used any DIY recipes, Cam, for your substrate?
I have, yeah. For my leopard geckos, I believe I used like the play sand and organic topsoil and like a little bit of like cocoa fiber. That was a really great mixture for sure. I used DIY for pretty much a lot of mine, like just random mixtures of stuff that I feel like would work. But the whole sand is bad thing is definitely not something that you should like think too heavily on. It depends on if your care is correct. Just make sure your care is correct, and sand won't be bad.
And that's exactly it. So sand tends to be a problem when your animal is dehydrated. So what ends up happening is they, bearded dragons and other lizards, they explore their world via their tongue because that's how they smell. So when they lick, they're grabbing little bits of sand with that and they swallow it. If they're properly hydrated, that sand should pass no problem. But when you have a dehydrated animal, that sand will just sit in the gut and then cause things like impaction.
For sure. I'm learning so much as well.
I love that. But yeah, let's see. Oh, Doug has some questions for us.
I just upgraded to a 4x2x2 and was wondering what UVB light I should change to.
Oh, awesome. All right. So, do you want to answer this one, Kim? Did you hear that?
Sure. So I will say that I believe Reptiles has a very, very great guide on what kind of UVB that you need. You can go to like the specific care guide, or you can just go to their UVB like page. I know that UVB is something that I've always struggled with. Just the distance between the light and your basking spot is really important. I would just look up what your specific animal needs, and then that distance for bearded dragons specifically, sorry. I use Arcadia, the T5, I believe it's the 12% one. It covers about half of the enclosure, which I believe is the good amount for that. And yeah, it works really well. Just make sure to replace them like every 6 months to a year. They don't last forever. Just because the light is being put out doesn't mean that the UV is. So it's very important.
Absolutely. And if you want to save a little bit money in the long run, you can get something like a solar meter, which you can take readings of your UVB to see when it needs to be replaced. Granted, it is a big investment in the beginning, but if you have a lot of lights, it can save you money in the long run.
Agreed.
Which, when you have 20-something animals, 20-something UVB fixtures,
Right.
replacing them every 6 months can be quite pricey.
Very.
But yeah, I think let's do two more questions. I think Doug has another one for us.
Karina is wondering, I just got my bearded dragon and I'm currently feeding him waxworms and mealworms.
Okay.
What else could I feed him for now?
All right. So yeah, bugs are fun. I love bugs. Bugs are great. There's so many good feeder options. Waxworms and mealworms tend to be higher on the fat levels, so I do think that those are better for treats. And then for more of a staple, I really like dubia and silkworms. Cam, I'd love to hear what you typically use.
I was definitely going to say the same thing. The waxworms and the mealworms are definitely something like if your leopard gecko needs to gain weight for some reason, those are an okay option. They're definitely never really a good staple option. I feed dubia roaches as well. I know crickets are decent. I hate crickets. I hate them. They're stinky and they escape and I hate them, but you can feed them. Silkworms are great also. I just know that they're super hard to find. So those are not normally like something that people gravitate towards because I haven't been able to find them either.
And you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Definitely dubia roaches are the way to go. And I know a lot of people, if they're illegal in your state, discoid roaches are basically the same exact thing. So you can try those out as well.
Absolutely. And for those who want to get into silkworms, I think it's really the best way that I've found is to breed your own. Buy the eggs and try to hatch them out and do it that way. It's actually a really fun science project too. There's lots of great care guides on the internet on how to do it, and it's just another fun thing to do. But I agree on the crickets. Ew, I don't like crickets.
I hate them so much. I'm like scared of them in real life too. Like the feeder ones aren't like terrifying, but the fact that they could just like jump.
Crickets.
Yes. Gross.
I have to say, my life has changed by using banded crickets. So we order our crickets from Josh's Frogs, and they use specifically banded crickets. They are less stinky, and they tend to live a little bit longer. So that's something that, if you want to try, you can try that. Yeah. All right. And then I think there was one more question that was asked earlier this week that I wanted to get to. And it is, so this is kind of a tricky one, and I think this is a really good, conversation starter. So, how to tell someone you know that their bearded dragon needs better care than they do currently?
It is a tricky one.
It's a tricky one, but I think it's really important because we do have, I think we all have that one friend or family member who brings home an animal who doesn't necessarily take care of it in the best way. How do you talk to them about that without losing a friend or losing that relationship, but also doing what's best for the animal?
Right. I think that people can get very defensive, especially like how you say things. So I think that maybe approaching it in the way of like maybe this person is having a hard time, can't dedicate as much time as they may have thought that they were able to in the first, like when they got them. Like, I know you're having a hard time, or if you need some extra help, I'm willing to help you improve your reptile's life, because right now, from what I'm seeing, like he's struggling a little bit. He's not getting the best care, and I know that you want your bearded dragon to live a longer time. I know that you want the best for them. So like, I'm willing to help you. Like, I'll send you some resources, like it doesn't have to be blaming the person. You don't know what they're going through or how hard caring for a reptile is for them. They may have not known that in the beginning, which sucks. Like, they definitely should have probably done their research, but approaching it in a way that doesn't blame them and asking or giving them help that they need, basically. I feel like that's probably the best way to go about it.
I agree. I think it's a very delicate thing because it could be something that they're dealing with, like a mental health issue, and they're not able to get out of whatever funk they might be in. Or it could be, like you said, it's just they took on an animal that they're not totally sure about. And I think the best way to approach is just delicately and just be like, hey, do you need some help? Like, let's do some stuff together. Like, let's go clean your reptile room. Let's go, like, do whatever. And like, you know, you could always send them to, like, there's so many great creators on social media, like yourself, that you can always send them little tips, like TikToks, like, oh my God, did you see this thing about bearded dragons? Like, I know you have a bearded dragon. This is really cute. So send it over. Right. And then, you know, they could use that as like a little bit of a resource. So yeah.
I agree. And I also think it's important, like, if both of you realize that they're not the best person for the job, there is always somebody somewhere who is willing to take your reptile and give them the life that they deserve. And rehoming is not something to be ashamed of. You're doing the best for your reptile, and the best thing wasn't you, but that's okay. And they can go somewhere else.
You shouldn't feel shame or anything. It's okay to ask for help. And if you can't handle the care of another being, that's okay. There's people that can help you, and there's definitely tons of resources. So yeah, I think that's important. So don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel shameful. It's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
All right, so let's turn this over. I want to talk more about Cam. So tell me stuff about you. I want to know, what advice would you give someone who is looking to pursue becoming a reptile content creator like yourself?
I know a lot of people that are definitely working their way up there. So the question that I get the most are like, you know, like, can you give me some tips? Like the obvious ones. But I definitely think that success can be like following the trends and doing what everybody else is doing. But also success can be sticking out from the rest of the crowd, doing what you like, what you're passionate about, because people will see that you're passionate about something and they will like you for you instead of what everybody else is. Definitely do what you like to do, make your enclosures what you like, promote what you like, and what is, I don't know, help people out. Do what you are passionate about. And I think that's super, super important. People will like you for you is all.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That is the key to success, is like, you need to be able to be personable and relatable and provide good information. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So, is there a common myth about being a content creator that you would like to debunk?
I'm not sure.
That it's easy?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm taking what I'm doing right now as kind of like, I'm incredibly grateful. Over the past almost 4 years, I've grown as a person and grown as a content creator, and it's kind of a part-time job for me now, and it's really, really, really helping like my personal life, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. So yeah, that it can be easy is definitely an understatement. You kind of have to have tougher skin than people think. People can be mean on the internet. Like, they can be incredibly rude and hateful, and sometimes you just gotta blow past it and realize that maybe it's not as personal as you think it is. People are just, maybe they're jealous of what you're doing, you know? So I don't know. Yeah, definitely the easy part.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Do you have any like misconceptions
of being my job? That every day is super fun. No, every day is super fun. Every day is different. But just like every job, like, there are days that are tough. There are days that are really tough, especially when you're working with lives. Like, to put it in, like, I don't want to be like morbid or anything, but you know, animals pass, and that stinks when they're in your care and it happens. Like, especially from old age or like whatever it may be. And so that's something that I've learned as a vet tech has always been really hard for me, whether it was like pet euthanasias, or I worked wildlife for a number of years, so like, you know, rehab cases that we couldn't release because they were too injured, etc. So like, I think my misconception is that I have fun with cute critters all day, but really there's also like the sad part of working with live animals.
Yeah, I can see that. I was on the wildlife end for a little while. I was an intern at a wildlife facility. It was a great experience of my life, but there were some situations where I had to deal with, the mortality of it all, and it definitely stunk. So that is a career. Can't imagine. Definitely some tough skin for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I did it for 2 years full time, and it was amazing. And I would go back to wildlife in a heartbeat. It's just really hard on you mentally, and it's really hard on you financially, because like most of them are nonprofits. They don't make a lot of money, which means they can't pay you a lot of money. And so there's all of that.
Totally.
Yeah. But anyways, so so if you could go back and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
So I think I actually started out like doing all of this when I was 18. So I mean, I don't know. I wasn't like taking it super seriously. I was just doing this for fun, and I bought a bearded dragon for fun. I wanted a companion. I don't know if I would give myself advice. I would just tell her to stick in there, like keep it up. Because there are several times that I remember that I definitely didn't want to do it anymore because people were being mean. My thick skin did not develop. But yeah, definitely just hang in there. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, no, I will. You're doing great things, Cam. You're doing really, really great things. All right, one last question. What's one question you wish I asked you that I didn't ask, and how would you answer?
Oh goodness. Oh man. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm terrible with the questions.
One fun fact about bearded dragons.
One fun fact about bearded dragons? Mm-hmm. Their poop smells worse than any poop that you've ever smelled in your life.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe right. Can't believe I've owned this guy for almost 4 years. I can't think of anything, but he's amazing.
I know. So we have just a little side tangent. We have a special needs bearded dragon who has some hind end paralysis, and she needs help to pass bowel movements. And so I get to get real up close and personal every time she needs to use the body.
Oh yeah. As somebody said in the comments just now, they all have different personalities and different attitudes like teenagers. I would agree. That's a fact.
For sure. Like I said, mine at home acts like a naughty teenager. She over here is a sweetheart. He's like the best kid.
Right. Mine is too. I would definitely say that mine is more on the end of being sweet.
Yeah, Smogger's he's a really nice dragon. I love all the content with him. He is so funny.
It's like he's a content creator himself. Sometimes he'll turn his head right at the right moment, and I'm like, thank you.
Exactly. Oh, you did it. But no one needs to know that I literally did 15 takes waiting for that one moment.
Yeah, and I was like, this is the one.
For sure. Cam, I think we went over so much great information about bearded dragons, and I'm so excited we were able to chat, and I think it's really great, and I can't wait to do this again. Maybe we can talk about one of your other critters like rhino rat snakes or something next.
Oh, for sure. I'd love that.
But for everyone who's watching, if you didn't catch the whole episode, we're going to be posting this onto YouTube in a couple days, and we're also going to be posting it as a podcast, so make sure you follow on your favorite podcast platform. We are under Zen Exotic Zoo Podcast. Make sure you're also following us and Cam on TikTok and Instagram. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, all of the things. So make sure you follow us all there. Cam, is there any projects that you're working on that you want to shout out?
I actually just recently got a new 4x2x2 Meridian for my blue tongue skink up there. So I'm going to be working on a brand new enclosure and shouting out a bunch of amazing products that I really like from a bunch of other lesser known brands. So I'm very excited to do that. That'll be on my YouTube channel in probably like a month because I know me and my procrastination.
No worries, guys. So make sure you're following Cam on all of those platforms and you're following Zen Habitats. And we'll catch you next time. See you guys later.